It's liquid gold.
My honest review of Graham Stephan's Bankroll coffee is...
I am not about to spend $10 on this. There's no way.
When it comes to Graham's Bankroll coffee, there are three things that I want to look at when it comes to my review. And that first thing would be affordability. And I have my trusty notebook here. And I went on Graham's website and looked at all the numbers that they have associated with the coffee and how much it actually costs per cup. And they're claiming that it costs 15 cents per cup. And so I did a little bit of quick math to see how much it actually costs. So looking at my notebook here, we're saying that there's 12 ounces of coffee in one of those Bankroll coffee bags, and Graham says that'll get you 66 cups of coffee. But if you look at Graham's directions on the back of the bag, it says right then and there that you should use 10 grams of coffee per cup. And so if we just do some simple math, we know that 12 ounces of coffee is 340 grams. And 340 divided by 10, which is how many grams per cup of coffee, leaves us with 34 cups of coffee. So I have no idea where they got 66 cups of coffee from, but already that math is totally wrong, which is something you wouldn't want to see from a personal finance YouTuber. And then the second thing we see here is that it is a 5 cent for a filter. And then creamer would be 25 cents. So they are saying that in total per bag it is $10.29. But every single time you make a cup of coffee, you can't reuse that filter, and you also have to use more creamer. So they're saying that with those 66 cups of coffee, you can use one thing of creamer and one filter. But you would need 66 things of creamer and 66 filters. So already that total number of 1029 is incorrect. So they're saying 1029 divided by 66 is 15 cents a cup. So I have no idea how they did this math, but it is no good. So if we actually followed Graham's directions of using 10 grams per cup of coffee, that would come out to 60 cents per cup. And actually, personally, when I make my coffee and I'm doing a pour over, I do 20 grams per cup of coffee. So that would actually amount to $1.20 per cup of coffee. So we went from 15-cent coffee to actually $1.20 of coffee per cup. So not only on the website did they go into detail about how much the cup of coffee would be, they exaggerated it and did all of the math wrong, which is crazy in itself. But there's another portion on the website that talks about how much money you'll save over time and how you could become a millionaire by buying Graham's coffee. So let's look into those numbers. And they're saying normally it is $2 per cup that you are saving buying Graham's coffee versus some other type of coffee. And people typically have 3 cups per day, according to him. I do not know who drinks 3 cups of coffee per day. I usually just have the one, and that's plenty for me. So he's saying that at that $2 price that you're saving and 3 cups of coffee, you're saving $6 a day. So let's take that $6 and then invest it at a 7% return, which is a pretty standard return. And then he's saying if you invested that money for 55 years, which is a pretty long time, then you would have $1.3 million at the end of that 55-year period. And I don't know what they're doing with this math. They're completely inflating all of the numbers, as well as they're doing the math incorrectly. So from an affordability standpoint, I would give this a hard 0 out of 10. The next aspect that I want to talk about would be the specialty coffee aspect. And this is marketed as a specialty coffee. And when it comes to specialty coffee, flavor notes are a big part of what each type of coffee is. And when you look at a Bankroll bag of coffee, it shows the flavor notes as things like strong and robust, or bright and full-bodied. And when you go to the Counterculture coffee flavor wheel, those are not found anywhere, and that's a pretty standard flavor wheel that we would be looking at. When you look at that flavor wheel, you'll see things like fruity, chocolatey, spicy, and that would just be the bare minimum of what you could write on that bag of coffee. That goes a lot further into detail, and you'll have things like stone fruit, and that could go even further like peach or blueberry, or you could have tropical fruit, and that would be something like papaya or banana. And nowhere on the description of Graham's bag of coffee do I know what the actual flavors are, because when I read that something is strong or robust, I do not know what I'm supposed to be tasting. And the other thing would be that on the hodl coffee, it shows that it's a espresso roast. And I don't know what an espresso roast is. Is it medium? Is it dark? Is it a blend? I have no idea. Typically, espresso roast is not something that you would say your coffee is roasted as. The one thing that I will say that they did well that is typically on a specialty bag of coffee would be the origin of the coffee. So if you're looking through the website, it'll say if it's from Brazil or Colombia or what the actual origin of the coffee is. Overall, my impression of this category would be that they did not hit the mark with the specialty coffee portion of Bankroll coffee. The third and final aspect that I want to get into would be the novelty aspect of this coffee. Graham has a huge following on YouTube, 3 million plus subscribers, and people who would probably do just about anything he says. And I think he did a really good job when it comes to this part of Bankroll coffee. You go on the website, it's cool, it's fun, it's laid out really nicely. It's super easy to get around and find whichever type of coffee that you want. You don't actually have to know that much about coffee to figure out what you want to buy. You would probably just go on there, look at 20-cent iced coffee, hodl, diamond hands, pick one of those because they sound like they're fun, and then purchase that. So I think he did a really good job playing into his audience and the novelty aspect of the coffee. And the other thing is, Graham is Mr. 20-cent iced coffee. So Graham selling coffee is something that people are going to want to buy. The other thing that I thought was really smart that Graham and his team did, and a good marketing technique, was saying on their website that they accept various cryptocurrencies like Ethereum, Bitcoin, Litecoin. That's going to make it even more interesting and even more novelty, and more people are going to want to buy it just for those types of reasons. So overall, I think Graham did really well with this novelty and marketing aspect of Bankroll coffee. And now let's actually taste the coffee. Just kidding, I haven't made any yet, so let's go do that. First up, I'm going to be making the hodl as a cappuccino, and I'm going to be comparing it to Bird Dog from Speckled Axe, which is a great coffee shop out of Portland, Maine area. And the reason I'm going to be comparing it to Bird Dog is because it is a specialty coffee, and Graham has marketed Bankroll coffee as a specialty coffee, and Bird Dog is one that I really like, so I thought it'd be a great comparison.
That is perfect coffee.
It smells like shit. Hey, this looks like poo brown. Alright, so now for the final review of the hodl coffee as a cappuccino. So it doesn't taste too bad, but to be honest, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be tasting. If you remember from the beginning of the video, we talked all about flavor notes, and with specialty coffee, there are usually some type of flavor notes, like is it sweet, chocolatey, or caramel? Is it citrusy or fruity? That's kind of what I want to be looking for when I take a sip of that actual coffee. And Bankroll coffee is being marketed as a specialty coffee, and there's no real definition for what specialty coffee is, and I really wouldn't consider Bankroll coffee as a specialty coffee. If you're going to be looking at what Graham normally drinks, that would be something like the Peet's coffee, and I think this is more like where this would be categorized. Something like Peet's or Starbucks. And if you're going to be comparing it to Peet's or Starbucks, I think it tastes just in line with what those are, but me being a bit of a coffee snob, I wouldn't drink any of those.
Because I just made you $1.3 million.
All about the diamond hands, baby! Alright, so now we're going to do the full-on review for the diamond hands coffee, which I made as a pour-over. And I will say that I'm sitting down now, one, because I've had more coffee than I normally do in a day, so I'm sweating a little bit, so this is helpful. And I think it's going to taste a bit better than the cappuccino I had, so let's give it a taste. And I will say that's pretty good, and I do think it's better than the cappuccino I had. But similar to the hodl coffee, there are no flavor notes. The diamond hands here read it as something that is bright and full-bodied, and I don't really know what that means when I'm supposed to taste it. Normally when you're having a light roast or a pour over, you kind of want it smack in the face the same way that you're smashing that like button, and I'm not really getting that big smash of fruity or citrusy or whatever type of flavor that it's supposed to have. It kind of tastes a bit hollow and mainly just like water and coffee together. But if I'm going to be comparing it to something like a Starbucks drip coffee, I think it tastes a lot better than that. Looking at the 3 points of direction where I think Graham was trying to go with this coffee, that first being the affordability factor. As we looked at the beginning of the video, the math did not make any sense, and it wouldn't make you a millionaire nearly as fast as it shows on the actual marketing. So I don't really think they nailed that sense of direction there. It is more expensive than at Starbucks or Peet's. And off of that same point, the second point would be that it's marketed as a specialty coffee. As we went through the video and looked at the taste and the flavor notes, we can see that this really isn't a specialty coffee. There isn't even that basic flavor note if it's citrusy or if it's sweet. There is none of that there. There are just words like strong and robust that don't really mean anything to me. So if you're going to be comparing it to what it actually is, Starbucks or Peet's, it is more expensive because it's trying to be a specialty coffee, but it isn't a specialty coffee. So I'm not sure if it would be nailed in that direction that you would buy it because it's a specialty coffee and it's better than Starbucks or Peet's. I would say it's about the same, but tastes a little bit better, and it's a bit more expensive. And not only did I show at the beginning of the video that Graham would never buy that Peet's coffee if it were $10, his coffee is $10, and that doesn't even include shipping. But the third direction that Graham went in with this coffee that I think they nailed and actually did really well with was the fact that it is a novelty coffee and plays into his audience really well. It's pretty fun when you get the packaging, take it out, and there's that Diamond Hands hodl 20-cent iced coffee. It really plays into Graham's audience, and it's something that I think I would get someone as a gift or maybe get from time to time because it's kind of fun to look at, kind of fun to buy, and I think that's really the direction that they did really well with and one that they should continue with, and the only one that they actually got right. I hope you guys enjoyed that review and you follow suit with Graham. Go down, comment what you think of Graham's Bankroll coffee. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. Thanks again for watching and hope to see you guys next time.